Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we're going to do a little simple shading for die cuts with the Pretty Pink Posh September release products. Now that fall is in full swing, it is the perfect time to create some autumn themed cards. Today, I'm going to show you a simple, easy way to add depth and dimension to your die cuts with a blending brush and your favorite inking tools. I'm going to start though by adding interest to my background. I am a big fan of a subtle decorative background or even a busy one, but in this case, it's going to be simple. We're adding some color with a brown ink over the Nina Desert Storm craft colored cardstock using the Pretty Pink Posh Deco Leaves stencil. Now, I love this stencil because it kind of looks like a cable knit sweater. Once I've added that decorative stenciling to my craft cardstock background, which I'm a huge fan of craft. If you guys have been here for a while, you know that I love a good craft background. I am going to go around the edges of my panel with more of that same color of ink just to kind of give it a softer appearance. It makes it look a little bit more blended. Once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and clean up my glass work surface, and I am so sorry about the light glare. I do remember to shut it off here in a minute, but I forgot right at the moment. We'll go ahead and add some shading to our pumpkin. Now you're going to notice that the pumpkin in the finished card is much richer than that light apricot color of cardstock that we started with. I love to start with a light color and then build up that color with some ink. Not only do you get a beautiful dimensional pumpkin or apple or whatever image it is that you are shading, but it definitely gives some added interest and makes the image a lot less flat. I even die cut the layering pieces. You can use these to die cut the pumpkin shape and make a shaker window, but in this case it just gives a nice dimensional pumpkin with that added layer. I love products that you can do more than one thing with. I even like maybe a little brown ink over the orange for that additional shading and color. Now, if you don't want to color your white die cuts and start from scratch, this is a fantastic solution, and to me it's almost what I like to call a cheater, as far as you don't have to add the base color and then your next color or even additional colors to get the color that you want for the finished design. I feel like it takes a little bit of the extra work out of it by starting with a colored cardstock. Yep, definitely better do that base too. And we are using MOCHA. I used MOCHA ink for the background as well. Now look at how that brown ink over the orange cardstock and orange ink just richens that color up so much. I love it. That is, to me, the perfect orange pumpkin color. Again, I like to make sure I'm continuously cleaning up my work surface, and I promise the light will go off at some point when I realize that glare is absolutely terrible. Sometimes when you're in the midst of making, you don't notice. I'm going to take my pumpkin stem, also die cut from a darker brown cardstock, and I'm going to use some of that MOCHA ink on it. Now, it is not going to be as drastic of a color change as some of the other larger images, but that is okay. It did richen the color up a little bit. With the green, same thing. I started with a lighter color of green cardstock. We're blending in a darker shade, and look how beautiful that is. That is absolutely amazing. Honestly, this card with a simple foiled or die cut sentiment would be beautiful just like this, just as is, but we're going to add even more to this fun card design. I shaded the mug scarf, which was die cut from a pretty moonstone blue cardstock. I shaded that up to give it more depth and dimension, and then we're die cutting and inking the mug. I started with a really pretty kind of teal color, which I love when paired with oranges for fall. I think that that just is a very unexpected. The blue as well. Both of these colors to me just gave a really fun pop of color. We also have a sunflower and some acorns that I've added a little bit of that MOCHA ink to. The sunflower, of course, is going to be a great addition to our fall theme card, as are those acorns. These are all from the Fall Mug Editions die set. I don't know about you guys, but I love a good full-on die cut card. Die cutting is totally my jam, and anything I can do to create a full die cut card is my favorite. These cinnamon sticks, absolutely adorable. So we're gonna go ahead and tuck those in. Now I still feel like we need a little bit more color. I've got a little leaf here that out of red cardstock will blend in a darker red, or brown maybe. Brown probably. Brown is going to show up better. We've got a little yellow leaf. In this case, my brown inks are really a workhorse because the brown shows up so well on a solid colored cardstock to add that depth and dimension. That is looking super cute. I'm pretty happy with this so far. I think we probably could use maybe a little bit more color over on the left side. But this was really a work in progress as I built this card design and pulled everything together. I decided to make it look like apple cider is inside of the mug. I started with kind of this orangey color cardstock, and I'm adding lots of reds. It's awfully bright red, and that really wasn't speaking to me. So what we're going to do is alter this. Maybe a little bit with some brown ink. Yeah. And you can see I also have that darling little mushroom there. So super fun. A little brown ink again magically transforms that piece that I wasn't totally happy with. So hopefully if you come across something like that when you are working on your cards and you're adding ink, consider using a neutral, a dark brown, even black, and oftentimes it will transform the die cut enough into something that you absolutely love. Let's start assembling all of the components for our card, starting with this pumpkin. And again, this is called the Pumpkins Shaker Die. Perfect for this season. I even think that these would be amazing just like this. Build your pumpkin, and then you can add names to these and use them as place card holders for Thanksgiving. I am thinking that's what I'm going to do this year. I mean, we all know who's coming to Thanksgiving, and we don't have a huge party for Thanksgiving, so that, or a huge group of people. We have a party, I mean, it's Thanksgiving, but we don't have a huge group of people is what I wanted to say. But even at that, I love to make the place settings beautiful, and I think that that pumpkin would be amazing as a little place card holder with everybody's name on it. I am assembling the mushroom. To me, that red in the mushroom helps balance out the design with the bright red leaf over on the right side. We now will have a red mushroom over on the left side of the card. And also it balances out the fact we have a large pumpkin over on the left side of the card, a large mug over on the right side of the card. And so I felt, and it has a lot of little things around it, the mug does. The pumpkin kind of was out over there and it looked off balance to me. This is always when I go and try to pull in some other maybe smaller things and balance out a design. We're going to build our little mug scarf, which again, I absolutely adore. and then we will build the mug itself. Now the mug, just the plain mug, this is from a previously released die set from Pretty Pink Posh called Winter Mugs. And then since then, there have been lots of add-ons. And all of these add-ons work with that same basic mug, which is awesome. Or a lot of things can be used on their own. Lots of ways to build this mug. You don't have to just do like a little scarf. So definitely check that out. And I love that this is just fall themed. It's not Halloween, it isn't necessarily Thanksgiving or anything like that. You could really just use this for any kind of autumn or fall occasion that you need a card for. We're going to tuck some leaves here. I'm going to add one more, and then I think we'll use our tweezers to kind of help clamp and hold that down. Tweezers are the workhorse here in the craft room. Oh, I used an acrylic block. That's my other favorite tool to hold things down in place. Now, this scene we're building basically fills the entire card design. You will notice that even with that, I have my greetings pulled out, and off camera before I filmed, I had a very good idea of which greetings I wanted to use and kind of where I would place them on the card. You want to always keep that in mind if you're doing a design that has very big images like this card does. That background that we stenciled is A2 sized. It is nice and big. And we're going to tuck our mushroom back behind the pumpkin. I still want the pumpkin to be the focal point, but I love that little peeking mushroom. And the other thing I want to mention is repeating die cuts. You'll notice we have 2 cinnamon sticks and we have 2 acorns. A lot of times having multiple images on a card or having that repeat really just kind of helps with the whole telling of the story. I've got a little glossy accents here. We want to make the center of our sunflower shiny. It's time to do some of those finishing touches that I'm such a fan of. Glossy accents is drying. We are going to stamp and emboss our sentiment. Now, if I had stamped my greeting on white cardstock, it would not show up, or it would show up very well, pardon me. It would kind of clash with the theme of our card. We have all of the beautiful autumnal colors, I cannot talk, and I felt like stamping on white would take away from that. So instead, I chose to stamp my greetings on another piece of craft. I stamped and embossed autumn greetings from the Autumn Pumpkins stamp set using clear embossing ink and heat embossing with red embossing powder. And then I stamped the rest of my sentiment from the Sentiment Strips fall stamp set with embossing ink and heat embossed with white embossing powder. We'll use the coordinating die for autumn greetings and a sentiment strip for the sentiment strip fall. I'm using a little low-tack tape to run these through my die cutting machine. And look how awesome the craft looks against this. To me, it just works with the design much better than white would have. I'm going to die cut the rest of my sentiment strip, and we can put it all together and add those last few finishing details. I like to use foam adhesive squares to pop up my greetings. This is going to help keep the greeting up off of the images a little bit and give you that wonderful depth and dimension. I'm kind of piecing together a bunch of teeny tiny squares on the back of this piece. And then we'll use some longer strips back behind our sentiment strip. I'm centering Autumn Greetings kind of right here at the upper part of the card where we don't have as much going on and it doesn't cover up too much of our sweet little scene. Then I've got some sentiment strips on the back of the rest of our greeting. I'm going to trim that down to size and then we'll pop that in place. You'll notice the edges around the glossy accents are starting to dry as it's getting nice and clear. The center of that sunflower will eventually be all the way glossy and clear too. Now, if I hadn't added this particular sentiment strip, you could have made this card for any kind of autumn occasion as I was talking about earlier. Just gonna snip off anything hanging off the edge. I think I only had that mushroom. Oh, and I should mention, I think I added that extra little mushroom. That is from the Cornucopia stamp set, or pardon me, die set. As I was looking at the card, I kind of forgot that I added that. Now we're going to take some matte gold confetti from Pretty Pink Posh and we're going to scatter this throughout the design. To do this, I love to use an embellishment wand and then just little dabs of glue. I pick up all of the little solid confetti pieces and then pop them right where I've added little dabs. I usually only like to work with a few little dots of glue at a time so that I don't get lost with where I am. You'll notice I transferred everything to a triangle tray from Simon Says Stamp. I love these little trays for holding my embellishments and especially for when I need to funnel them back inside of the storage container or little bag, whatever the case may be. These little sequins are going to add the perfect little pop of sparkle and fun to the finished card design. Finally, I will add this entire panel to a side fold card base to finish up my card. And here you can see the bag and how I was easily able to funnel those all back in just a matter of seconds. Thank you so much for joining me today. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new paper crafting video or I go live. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.